How would you talk to or minister to or teach these young people who are growing up in the Church of Christ and are getting baptized and they're going off into the world,
Hmm.
right? For them to understand, hey, don't let your faith get shaken. Study for yourself
Hmm.
when this question presents itself. Study for yourself. Don't listen to what they're saying.
Hmm.
Go to the word of God for yourself. So, how would you talk to the young adult right now who is questioning their faith, who is trying to figure out, well, I've been taught church, but I haven't been taught Jesus,
Hmm.
if that makes sense?
Yeah, no, it definitely makes perfect sense. It's one of those things where I would say first and foremost, it's okay to have questions. You know, the Bible tells us to try Jesus. The Bible tells us, to have an answer, ready for yourself, to show and prove, to study, to show yourself approved. And I would simply say it's okay that you have these questions. Study into it. Don't just walk away because something sounds like it's going to feel better, right? The thing within the church is not everything feels good. Being a Christian and holding true to the word of God is not easy. We're not we're not promised, and I tell the kids is we're not promised cupcakes and rainbows and bubble gum after we get baptized. We're told it's not a matter of if we're going to struggle, if we're going to suffer, if we're going to face diverse temptations and trials and tribulations. It's when. Just because you go through something does not mean that God is not with you, and it doesn't mean that what you've been believing in is wrong. It simply means that you're walking the correct path when you face these trials, these tribulations. It means that you have something that the enemy is trying to take from you. The truth is a precious gift. And when you have it, you're going to face trouble because there's almost everything out there trying to take that from you and make you believe something that's a little bit more comfortable and make you, fall away for something that feels good. So I encourage asking questions. Like I tell my kids all the time because my oldest, her mother has since reverted back to Catholicism, but I tell my oldest, listen, I don't have a problem talking to you about this stuff. This is kind of why I went down this path. And to my other kids, I tell them the same thing. Their biological father worships in a different manner. So I'm in a very unique position, with Catholicism on the one hand, and then, I guess what they would call Pentecostal on the other. And it's like, okay, I'm here to answer your questions. You may not like everything that's done, and that's okay. The standard should be, what does the word of God say? And that's kind of where I would point them, to look. If And it's tough because if the word of God in and of itself is not enough for you, you can look into history. You can look into the history of just about every other religion. And, every other religion is going to have an origin
That's
that
facts.
is, from man, that deviated from the way that Jesus had it set up. Once it began to deviate, it's no longer godly. It's no longer what God would have you to
That's
do.
facts. Yeah.
So, let's kind of start there. What is it that's pulling you away and why? And be honest. Let's have a real conversation about why. You know, there's going to be a lot of things to try to pull you away, but let's be real about it. Is it because this feels good? Is it because you feel like you have, more freedom, on that side? Um, is it because it's easier per se? You know, and these are questions that do need to be answered in a way that is biblical, that is historical, that is factual.
Yeah.
And it's just an encouragement to look into some of these things, for yourself with that lens that says, okay, the word of God is is my ultimate authority, where does everything else stack up?